All right, we just created our very first data frame. As you can see, this data frame is a collection of columns, right? But we have a name for that column in pandas. We call that series. Data frame is just a collection of series attached to each other. That's what it is, all right? If we can combine them together, we should be able to access them as well, right? We are going to come back to the very first one because technically this is not a column in our data frame. This is our index, all right? These are our indices, but I'm going to try to access these columns. Generally speaking, there are two different ways of accessing these columns. Let's explore them, all right? First way is exactly identical to the way we access a dictionary's values, right? Using square brackets. I'm going to say df students inside square brackets. Give me what? Give me student IDs. Student ID, even if you just type student part of the keyboard, it is, and press tab, it is going to bring student ID. All right. And let's see what we are going to get. It is going to turn into that data frame. I'm sorry, a series. You see that those values that I have up here, it is going to give it to me, and it's going to say these values, data type is object. Remember, they are object because the way I've defined them, they are string. That's why they look like integer, but they are not. They are strings. All right. Now, another thing that I want you to notice is that this looks really nice when you scroll. It looks like a tabular format. I call it, it's pretty. When you go from one line to the other one, it gets highlighted. It's very helpful. You don't have that luxury here. That is a really good way of distinguishing a data frame from a series, right? Besides the fact that series has only one column. Another thing, so we were talking about how we can access columns of a data frame. Let's access one more. I'm going to say df students. This time access what? Access, let's say the very last one, age, right? It is going to give you a series with age numbers, right? The very last column that I have here. This is one way of accessing columns. This method always works. There is one more way, which is a lot more common. Frankly, it's a lot more common. Let's see what that is. Right? I'm going to get rid of outputs, clear outputs, clear this one as well, clear output. There we go. Another way of accessing columns is data df underscore student with dot. Let's see, I have first name, last name, Python grade. Let's look at Python grade, all right? If I type py, it's going to, and press tab, it's going to bring that Python grade. If I run this, and sure enough, it is going to give me a series that has Python grades, right? Which one should you use? Well, this one, you're going to fall in love with this way of accessing in a series or columns of a data frame. It's just a lot more intuitive. It's cool, right? However, there is a little bit of a caveat here, and that is, let me clear this output. Let's try to access the first column, student ID, using this method. All right, I'm going to write df student and df student data student ID. I'm going to just type it as is. All right, this one as is. So it's the keyword. It's a word of students and then space ID. If I type that students, even if you just press tab, it's not going to bring that. There is something going on. Student space ID. Right? Let's see what's going to happen. It is going to say, this is not acceptable. This is not invalid syntax. You are violating Python's language grammar, right? Problem is that student ID right here is not a valid variable name. Remember, valid variable name does not have this goes back to week 1, does not have a space in it. It doesn't start with a digit. It doesn't have special characters, right? And it doesn't have keywords. Now, we fail to access the very first column or these student IDs using that dot, the name of the column. But you see that we can access it using the first one, putting that column's name inside square brackets. The first method works all the time. Second method works only if column names are valid variable names. All right. Let me show you one more way, one more situation where the first method always works, but second one doesn't work. When your column name is a variable, you have assigned it to a variable. Let's call it call underscore one. I'm going to use first name, right? And if I say df underscore students dot call underscore one, you are going to get an error. All right. When your column name is assigned to a variable, you cannot call that variable. Let me put it this way. This is it. There we go, much better. You cannot and you cannot use that variable's name right after the data frame's name and try to access it with a dot. How can I access that? Well, let's try it. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to say df students, and if I try to use it inside square brackets and say this is call underscore one, and sure enough, you are going to get the results. Something that I want you to uh, notice is that there is more than one way of doing same thing in pandas. Oftentimes that is the case, and sometimes that's one source of confusion. So learn and try to learn 1-2 different ways, but know when one method works and when the other one works. All right, so let's move forward. What if I want to access more than one column? Let me try df students, df underscore students, and if I want to access more than one column, I'm going to put them in a list. All right, those two square brackets, they are access brackets. All right, df student, I want to access part of this data frame. I'm going to put whatever column I want to access, I'm going to put them inside a list, and that right there is a list. Right there, I'm marking it. All right, I want to access first names. Oh, not that. First underscore name, comma, last name. Right, and this is going to give me a data frame that is it has first names and last names. Does this change my data frame, original data frame that I have? Let's have a look. df student, no, it doesn't change that. So it just shows you a view of this data frame that has only first name and last name columns in it. What happens if I don't put those square brackets? Well, let's see. df underscore students, and this time I'm going to say first name, comma, last name. All right, well, if this works, then there is no reason to put those square brackets. Let's see. It's going to say, you know what, I don't know what you're talking about. I need, with this notation that you are using, I need only because there isn't another square bracket here, I only need one column's names, but you are giving me two. I don't know what to do. All right, and something to notice is that usually errors that you get in pandas, they are scary. They are very long boxes of red boxes. It makes you feel guilty. Oftentimes, if you scroll down at the end, there's a useful information. It says key error, first name, last name. There is something about the key that you are using here. Right? That is the problematic. If I put this inside a list, there you go. I have that. All right. Let's see what happens if I put only one name, just one column name inside a square bracket. Well, if I need to access just one column, I don't need to do that. As a reminder, let me just show you df student. If I want to have access first, if I want to access just one column, that is going to be a series, and that is going to, I'm going to get that. All right. However, what happens if I put that name inside square brackets as well? This is what I mean. df underscore students, and inside square brackets, first underscore name, and there you go. You notice the difference between this one and this one. In terms of values, they are the same, right? It's just the first name, that column of that data frame. However, this one gives you a series. It's ugly, all right? And this one is pretty. This is a data frame. It's a data frame with one column and with zero-based indices. Moving forward, we are going to see what else we can do in a data frame. How can we access these indices? How can we change them? How can we play with these column names. So for that, we are going to go to the next video.